Hello, my name is Anne, and I'm the design director at the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh. Today I'm going to talk about what we've done in addressing accessibility and inclusion at the museum. As it does for many organizations, our process began with the facility, and this is why I like to start with a photo of our campus. On the screen is an aerial photo of our campus looking north. Making a facility like this accessible is always a challenge. It's very hard to navigate, and we have staff spread out across 4 buildings and visitors of all ages and abilities moving through 7 days a week, year-round. So making sure everyone on our staff is equipped to address questions about accessibility and inclusion is an ongoing challenge. So I'm going to share with you today how we're doing it and what's working and what is still a work in progress. So where did we start? This slide shows our lobby looking from behind the front desk towards a crowd of people waiting to get in. This is where we start every day with our visitors. We started looking at our inclusion practices from the moment visitors walk in the door and quickly realized that if visitors don't feel welcome from the start, it doesn't matter what amenities or accommodations you may have. It's this personal connection, if missed, that can be the biggest barrier to an inclusive space. So our process began with our staff. We engage experts in the community to help train our staff in best practices for customer services, hands-on art-making techniques, and fundamental communication skills. We were able to do this with the help of the FISA Foundation and also devoting our own resources. This is mostly our time and talent of our staff and also some money. This let our staff know how important accessibility and inclusion was to the museum as a whole. This photo is of a staff training session, and everyone is sitting in a circle and having an open discussion. It wasn't a top-down conversation or exchange of information. This was really a peer-to-peer conversation. So the trainings were hands-on and set in real-world scenarios. We wanted our staff to feel empowered by the process and leave feeling confident they could do their jobs better because they have the resources they need. This slide shows 3 images of our staff during training sessions. One photo on the upper left has a woman writing a response to a question about inclusiveness, and the photo on the bottom and then on the right are views of the group training sessions. The important takeaway is that the staff are talking to one another here, and they came up with solutions, and that they're learning from one another and with the help of facilitators. So we've talked a lot today about not being experts. That's one thing we take to heart at the Children's Museums. We're experts in some things, but not most things. And for accessibility and inclusion, we really relied on community partners to help us through this process. So what we did next. Once we started the trainings, the next important step was to put these skills into practice. And this image shows our audience. It's a group of children and adults of all ages, abilities, and interests, and really represents the diversity of our audience on any given day. So through these training sessions, we developed tools to help our staff in their daily work and identified new programs we could offer to make our museum more inclusive. We created a guidebook for our staff that they could carry with them at all times and not only provide tips and reminders about inclusive practices, but also gives them encouragement that they're doing a good job and that they have the skills they need. The other outcome of this process was that we were more confident in what we could do. So we began offering more programs and inviting more experts into the museum to share their work with our visitors. So the images on the screen represent some of these outcomes. From the left to the right, we have teaching artists working one-on-one with our visitors. And then we have an image in the upper right-hand corner of the training guide that our staff carries with them in their pockets every day. And then the lower left image is of a 1-page ASL guide that our staff developed that includes specific language that they use every day in their work. And then the image on the lower right is of a Dogs with Jobs program that we offer at the museum. That was an outcome from this training session. So continuing with this idea of asking for help from experts in the field, we worked with the University of Buffalo School of Architecture to create a universally designed space at Museum Lab. So this was a mutual exchange. They reviewed all the architect's drawings and made recommendations for ways we could make the new building more accessible. And then they also were advisors throughout the whole process in how we could then implement the museum experiences. And then in exchange, we were a test site for this new certification program. And we're continuing to work with them to spread the word of universal design in the museum field in general. So where are we going next? This slide is a photo of a girl holding a pink note card made of a collage tissue paper that says, "Be kind." After many years of working on accessibility, we realized that how we treat people is the essence of inclusion for us at the Children's Museum, and that the physical barriers are actually the relatively easy problems to solve. For us, it is much more important that our staff has the tools and knowledge they need to help visitors and to help each other. And it is this confidence and willingness to help that is infectious and sets us all up for success. This slide has two photos. One on the left is a picture of our staff. They're sitting under our Fred Rogers sweater and photos of Fred Rogers. And the photo on the right is of 3 kindness buttons. We made it as a staff project. Staff give the buttons to people that are caught being kind. And this has really it was such a small gesture, but it's had a huge impact. And it comes down to a simple idea of treating others like you would like to be treated yourself. So, and this is really how we're moving forward. The photo on the left is of a little girl holding a sign that says, "Be kind," and on the right is a photo of a boy sitting under a photo of Fred Rogers. We all get very busy and complacent or forget about the details on a day-to-day basis, and we're the first to admit that we're not perfect. So making inclusion a part of the daily life of the museum is always a challenge. So now we're really focusing on inclusion as a core value, so it's part of what we do and not something extra we have to do. Our ultimate goal is to make sure that all of our visitors have what they need to have a positive experience. So at the core of that for us is being kind. And we've been infusing that in how we relate to each other and our visitors every day. So that's how I'll leave you with that message, is of just to be kind. Thank you.